Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I'm Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining me. So, what I found out in my reading today is that there is a lady by the name of Robin DiAngelo that, according to this article, incidentally, she's the author of a book, I guess, called White Fragility. And according to this article, she was in a webinar in which, and I actually heard her say this, in which she said that people of color need to get away from white people. Now, you can read the rest of that article on your own in the description box below. It's on Breitbart News. You can read it for your own. But I read that article as much as I could. I listened to a portion of the webinar, and it was extremely difficult to listen into what this woman was saying because she was using a lot of big words and a lot of big terms and words, and she was sounding really philosophical and analytical. But at the end of the speech that she gave here, I think it was like a couple of black people on there. At the end of the speech, when she made the statement that people of color need to get away from white people, the first thing came to my mind. This always comes to my mind when I hear people talk like this, particularly whether they be white or black, but particularly whites, and that this is simply another Marxist move to divide and conquer. I can see a Marxist 1,000 miles away. So right off the bat, I knew that this was just another Marxist attempt to keep everybody divided. But then as I began to think about what I was going to talk about and think about this information in my head and analyze the points that she was saying in the article and in the speech in the webinar, I asked myself this question. Why should people of color, black people in particular, that's who she's really talking about, why should we separate from white people? Now, this is what she said. She said that people of color should separate from white people to find community. In other words, what I'm understanding is from her speech is that people of color, POC, should separate from white people because you got to find your own. You got to find your own identity. You got to find your own way of communication. You got to find your own. Okay? This is what I was gathering from her. But like I said earlier in the beginning of this video, is that I see Marxism. I don't see empowerment. I see an attempt to keep us all divided. Now, having said that, I asked myself because I said, now what really is the edge on this? She makes this statement that people of color should get away from white people. But let's look at this from a deeper perspective. In order to find community and solidarity and all this kind of nonsense that she was spitting out. But let's look at this at a deeper level. If blacks and people of color separate from white people to find community and solidarity, what kind of community or solidarity are we going to actually build? Why do I ask that? Because at one point, prior to the 1960s civil rights movement, blacks were separated from whites due to discrimination and Jim Crow laws, particularly in the Deep South. However, blacks during this time had something. May I make a suggestion? If you guys haven't seen Uncle Tom 2, check it out. It's executively produced by Larry Elder. It's an excellent follow-up to the first Uncle Tom, which I thought was excellent. And they go into a significant portion of detail on how blacks prior to the 1960s so-called Civil Rights Act brought, or rather owned and possessed so much. I mean, blacks had something back then, man. They were on top of the game. Okay. They had something back then. They had businesses. They were educated. They had class. They were together. As a matter of fact, they had education. They had class. As a matter of fact, prior to the 60s, statistics state that two family uh, uh, two family homes was a common reality back in those days among blacks. That single family homes didn't become a problem till after the 1960s when uh, the so-called welfare state moved in. But that's a whole nother story, and I ain't gonna get into that. But they had a lot going for them. Wasn't perfect, but blacks prior to the 60s had something. They had the Black Wall Street. That's what Uncle Tom too mentions. They had the Black Wall Street. Had all of that. There was a lot of jazz artists, authors, entrepreneurs, writers. Okay, now you may be asking, what does it have to do with this author talking about black people of color need to separate from white people and because they need solidarity and community? Because black people today collectively don't have anything. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, man, you keep putting black people down. I'm not putting black people down. In order to fix the problem, you got to know what the problem is. And the problem is that a significant number of black people as a whole don't have anything in terms of what that something that makes us really look good among other ethnic groups. You want to know what's being promoted among blacks collectively? You want to know what's being promoted? Not that blacks don't have anything at all. Thousands of blacks all over this country have businesses, okay? But I'm talking about where we were shining. We had class and integrity and morals and values. We don't have that now. But here's the deal. The only people that of a color that seem to have anything today are the celebrities. Beyonce, Jay-Z, Cardi B. If you want to consider her black, I don't know if you can argue that all day. But the point is that they're the only ones that seem to have anything. And you want to know what they promote? They promote, here we got black billionaire entrepreneurs promoting dependency on the government instead of promoting independence and solidarity and community, huh? Like blacks had prior to the 60s. Think about that. Now, here we have this woman by the name of Robin DiAngelo, who, by the way, is a white woman. Isn't that interesting? Is these white women telling, these white people, rather, telling other whites and blacks this kind of information? It's crazy. It's crazy. But I don't want to get into the details of that because that's a whole nother story. So coming back to now, because I believe we don't have what we used to have prior to the 60s, what would this unification be? What would this community be that we're building? Because all that is being promoted among other ethnic groups is rap music. That's all that's being promoted. That's what other ethnicities and nationalities see. That's the message that blacks are communicating collectively to other nationalities. That's what I, at least in my opinion, that's what I see. That's what they see. I know. That's what's being promoted. Cardi B, what's being promoted? Twerking. And F this and suck your ding 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 and all this other kind of stuff. You know, that's what's being promoted. So when other ethnic groups and nationalities and subgroups look at us as black people collectively, that's what they see. They don't see people with class. They don't see people with education like it was prior to the 60s. They don't see people dressing nice, having morals and values. They don't see thinkers and entrepreneurs and artists. They don't see that. So this whole idea that black people need to separate from white people is stupid. It's another Marxist move. Another Marxist move to keep us divided against each other. Let me say this too. Go back to that. The whole idea that this person, Robin DiAngelo, is a white woman telling someone who was in that webinar, also a couple of women in that webinar was white, making that statement. Here's a white person, and if any of you whitewashing this is what they're telling you. This is what these white Marxists are telling you. That you are racist. This is what she said in someone in an article. You are racist even though you don't know you're racist. That you commit acts of racism even though you don't know you're racist. This is a white person telling you as a white person that you racist and you don't even know you're racist. So if you say something like, I judge people on an individual basis, that's being racist even though you don't know you're being racist. Think about that. Think about how stupid that sounds. But this is the kind of stuff these Marxist authors, Marxist politicians, Marxist screenwriters, Marxist teachers, Marxist professors, Marxist preachers, you name it. This is what they're spitting at you. Why? To keep us divided. To keep us divided. But the whole idea of people of color getting away from white people makes no sense whatsoever. We're not gaining anything because we don't have even if we did have something that other people could look at us and smile and say, man, they're really making progress. The way I see it. Instead of all this negative crap. What would be the purpose for that? Because like I said, back prior to the 60s, the reason for that was because of segregation in the Deep South. This mostly took place in the Deep South. Okay. Now somebody may ask, well, black people, okay, we don't have nothing. Okay, Mr. Bowden, you're saying we don't really have anything that would really, really make us shine. Okay. Today. We really don't have anything. That's because white people, came in on Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is where this took place, I believe, and burned down the city and burned and messed up the Black Wall Street and all that. But do you not know, if you watch the video, that documentary, Uncle Tom 2, watch it. It says, yes, it was burned down, but it says 5 years later, they rebuilt the Black Wall Street. They rebuilt it again, and it says life continued as usual. A real community. But you won't hear that nor see that on mainstream left-owned media. The leftist mainstream, they're not going to tell you that, because what that's actually showing is black people in true solidarity with something positive, something constructive. They don't want that. They want you and I, the Marxist white people, to be dumbed down, to think that everybody is after them. That's what they want us to after them and wants to stop them with it. That's what they want us as black people to think. White people, they want you to think that you're racist and you don't even know you're racist. Think about that. This is what this woman is talking about. White fragility. What the Hell even is that is? What is that? What is that? Stupid, ignorant, divisive nonsense. But I'm here to expose it, and people either like it or they don't like it. I'm here to expose the lies that these Marxists are doing as they infiltrate our country. That's all I wanted to say. So what do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.